Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Well, today's talk is going to be about silver, as you can see. So there's a little story behind this stash that you see here. And I'm going to tell you what it is right now. So, I'm sure most people do this, and my wife and I do it as well. Every time you have change in your pocket left over, you throw it in a jar. I personally throw it in an old coffee can, and you just let it build up until you're like, man, there's too much change in here. I need to get rid of it. So between my wife and I, we had a few $100s in quarters and dimes and nickels. And we don't bother counting the pennies. We just let those keep, accumulating. So I decided to take about half of what we had. And my wife and I split it. And she can do whatever she wants with her half, and I do whatever I want with my half. And I took my half and I decided to go and turn all those pretty much worthless clad coins into some real money. And a nice thing is that when we were checking our stash, we came across a 1964 quarter from my coffee can. And we came across another 1964 quarter from my wife's stash. So it's a good thing that we checked them. And it's a good thing that we know what a silver quarter sounds like. You hear that? That's silver. That's silver, that clack. So we ended up grabbing a couple of silver quarters out of there. Now these two silver quarters right here are probably worth about 13 to 14 times more than their face value, being that they have 90% silver in them. Now, for those of you that may not know, dimes, quarters, half dollars that were dated 1964 and prior are composed of 90% silver. Okay, so you find a coin that is 1964 or earlier. I don't know if you can see the date in that one. That one says 1953, I do believe. Yeah, 1953. Those are all going to be composed of 90% silver. Melt value is 90% silver. Okay, now between 1965 and 1969, half dollars were still made out of silver. However, those are only 40% silver. And they're the Kennedy half dollars between 65 and 69. So if you find a Kennedy half dollar that's between 65 and 69, those are composed of 40% silver, which still has a lot more value than face value. So as you can see here, I picked up these really nice half-ounce silver coins, and they are minted by Apmex. You can see the back here. It's really, these are really nice coins. These are not government minted, all right, but these are privately minted by Apmex, and as you can see back there, it says American Precious Metals Exchange, and they are a very reputable company. And I got these from my local coin shop. So I know that these are real, and I don't have to worry about their purity. These are all 0.999% silver. And while I was there, I saw one that was very interesting that I had to pick up. I actually paid a pretty good premium for this because I had never seen a 3/4 ounce coin. This coin here is minted in Canada. Let me see what year. Let's see, 2015. This coin was minted in Canada in 2015. And it's a 3/4 ounce, 4 nines, so it's 0.9999 silver. And the front of it looks just like any other Canadian coin. It's got the queen on it. If you guys can see that. There you go. But yeah, I've never seen a 3/4 ounce coin, so I thought I'd pick this up. And let me go over real quick, for those of you that may not understand, how some coins are 0.999, so 3 nines, and 0.9999, or 4 nines. What the nines mean, what the 0.999 or 99, and if you're talking about sterling silver is 0.925. All that means is that it's 92.5% pure silver in sterling. And these ones that you see that are just 3 nines, 0.999, it means that that coin, the purity of that coin is 99.9% silver. It doesn't mean that you're only getting 99.9% of an ounce. It means that the purity of it is 99.9% silver, which means that the other 0.01% is impurities that get into or that contaminate the silver during its production process and its minting process. That's all that means. So if you see a coin that says 0.999 and 0.9999, or even if you see a 1 ounce silver coin that says 0.925, as long as you're buying 1 troy ounce of silver, it still has the same amount of silver in it. It's just that the purity is not the same. So obviously people would probably want to get 0.9999 because it's the purest form that we can buy. But just don't be fooled into thinking that only because there's less nines in it, it means that there's less silver in it. There's not. These coins right here are triple nines, and this coin has 1/2 troy ounce of silver. Okay? And if this coin was a 4-niner, a 0.9999, it would still have 1 ounce of silver, but it would weigh, if you weighed it, it would weigh just a tiny bit less than the 999, because the 999 has some impurities in it, a little more impurities in it than the quad 9 does. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Okay, but don't be fooled into thinking that one is much more superior to the other. I do like the Canadian coins because their attention to detail is just incredible. You know, I think that their attention to detail is just so nice. And they always come up with something different for the back. Like this here, it looks like a wolf. Okay, this 2015 3/4 ounce. So it's pretty interesting that they always come out with a different mint design. And we here in the U.S., we have the Liberty, the silver eagle, which has pretty much been the same ever since they started making them again, which I believe it was in the mid or late 80s that they started minting the silver eagles. So since I'm only about 8 minutes in, I thought I'd go over a little bit of why I prefer silver over gold. Now, precious metals are good either way, gold or silver, okay? I like to have just a little bit of gold and mostly silver. And why is that? Because I feel that in the future, the upward potential of silver is going to be much, much higher than that of gold. And what do I mean about that? Or what do I mean by that? What I mean is that when the free market takes over one day, hopefully it will take over one day and we will have a real free market, that silver will grow exponentially compared to gold. So for example, right now you can buy 1 ounce of silver, or I'm sorry, you can buy about roughly 80 ounces of silver for every 1 ounce of gold, okay? Even though silver is less plentiful in the earth than gold is. And I'm going to go over some numbers with you here in a minute. But so according to history, if you follow history on silver and gold and on what's going on right now, as far as the ratio for which it gets mined, throughout history, the ratio of silver to gold has been anywhere between 12 to 15, 16 ounces of silver for every ounce of gold. And right now we're about 5 times more silver to gold than what history dictates. Okay, and silver right now comes out of the ground at about 9.5 to 1. So for about every 1 ounce of gold that is mined out of the earth, about 9.5 ounces of silver are mined, which is a lot less than 80. So I feel that when silver and gold find their fair market value, I feel that silver will grow exponentially compared to gold. So if gold goes up to, let's say, $5,000, which is about 3 times what it's, well, no, about 4 times roughly what it is now, I feel that silver will probably go up 20 times what it's now, if not more. Okay, so a little bit of information on silver and gold. And this information that I'm putting out here is pretty recent. Okay, I think it's covering 2017. Okay, and I took this out of a chart that I looked up. So it says here about silver. It says here, one can presume there are about 3 to 3.5 billion ounces of fine silver in the world. So right now, there's only enough silver in the world. And when I say in the world, I mean above ground. This is not counting silver that has not been mined yet. Okay? So right now, above ground silver, there's only about half of a troy ounce of silver for every human in the world, if not less. This right here is a half troy ounce. This is a half-ounce coin. Right now, there's only enough silver in the world for every person to have one of these, if not a little bit less, because there's more than 7 billion people in the world. Okay, that is it. So that is very precious. This is a very precious metal when there's only enough in the world for everyone to have one of these, a half ounce. Okay? Now, on average, about 25,000 tons of silver is mined annually. Okay? However, about 31,250 tons of silver is consumed by industry. Okay, so when I say consumed by industry, I'm talking about everything that consumes silver in addition to, if you want to call it investment or insurance. Okay, for me, this is more insurance than investment. Okay, so right now, last year alone, we ran about a 20% deficit on silver, which means that we consumed, as a world, we consumed about 20% more silver than what was mined. Okay? So what that's telling you is that supply and demand dictates that silver should be a little bit more than what it is now, if not a lot more. I think silver should be nominally priced at a much higher amount than it is now. Okay? Now let's go to gold. For gold, there's about 5,481,000 ounces of gold in the world. Okay? That's roughly 180,000 tons. Okay? There might be a little bit more if you look up a very recent article or a very recent graph on this, because we are almost to the middle of the year in 2018, okay? But above ground gold sits at about 180,000 tons or 5.5 billion ounces, okay? That's only enough for every person on earth to have 3/4 of an ounce of gold. So just stating that fact right there, there is enough gold in the world right now above ground for everyone in the world to have 3/4 of an ounce of gold. Okay? And there's only enough silver for everyone in the world to only have a half ounce of silver. So if you took basic economics, it tells you that the supply of silver is less than that of gold. And therefore, basic economics would tell you that it should be priced a lot higher than what it is. Okay? Now, on average, about 3,000 tons of gold is mined annually. Okay? And about 3,500 tons of gold is consumed, or at least in 2017 was consumed. Okay? Now, gold, when it is consumed, it doesn't go away. It stays above ground. It doesn't get used up in industry as much as silver does, okay? So most of the gold that is consumed for jewelry, for investments and central bank holdings and country and holdings for your average person, like India. For example, in India, the citizens of India have about 20,000 tons of gold, because that's how Indians save. That's how they save for their retirement, for their children's weddings, etc. They save in gold. I read an article somewhere here a while back that the average Indian family saves about 8% of their annual wages, and they use gold to save their money or to preserve their wealth. So right now, on average, we are running about a 15% deficit on gold every year. Okay, so we're running about a 20% deficit on silver. We're running about a 15% deficit on gold. So that math tells me that silver will one day, to me, be worth on par with gold. And I know that sounds pretty crazy, but I mean, look this information up. Don't take my word for it. Right now, there's only about half an ounce of silver for every human on earth. There's about 3/4 of an ounce of silver for every person on earth. I mean, of gold. There's about 3/4 of an ounce of gold for every person on earth. That's 50% more in ounces of gold than it is for silver. Right now, we're running a 20% deficit on silver, on what we use and what we mine, and we're only running a 15% deficit on gold. Okay, so that's why I think it is a good idea to preserve your wealth in silver and not as much gold. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me do this just to make sure that I'm doing the right thing here. You all know I'm not a financial advisor, right? Okay. This is just my opinion, and this is what I do. So obviously this is what I do because you see it in front of you. So having said that, that is why I like to preserve my wealth in silver instead of gold. Now, what are the advantages of gold over silver? Because there are some advantages in my eyes. I think that the biggest advantage of preserving your wealth with gold instead of silver is if you decide that one day you may have to bug out. Because for every 1 ounce of gold, like I said before, it takes 80 ounces of silver to equal the value, at least the value that we have now. So it's a lot easier to escape somewhere or to leave and go somewhere with 20 ounces of gold, let's say, or even 100 ounces of gold, okay, which would be 800 ounces of silver. 100 times 80? No, it would be 8,000 ounces of silver. So if you think about it, if you take 100 ounces of gold, that would be roughly 8,000 ounces of silver. Wow, that's a lot. So think about that. It's a lot easier to carry that gold or to get somewhere with it than if you were to try to take the same amount of value or wealth in silver. So that I think is a big advantage. Okay, but silver, like gold, is recognizable anywhere in the world. Okay, it doesn't have any third-party risk to it because it is what it is and it's worth what it's worth. Same thing as gold. Okay, so that's where I stand, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know if you think that silver is a better investment, or I hate using the word investment. Let me know if you think that silver is better insurance than gold, or let me know if you think that silver is a better way to preserve your wealth than gold. Remember that one of these quarters, okay, in 1964, one of these quarters could buy you a gallon of gasoline. Okay, today, this quarter can buy you a gallon of gasoline. Okay, if you go take this, if I take this to the coin shop today, I'm going to get about $3.25 for it. Okay, gasoline over here, I think is $3.33. So I'm about 8 cents shy of buying a gallon of gasoline for this quarter. And I haven't even checked the spot price. I'd probably be able to get about $3.50 for it or something like that. Okay, so this quarter has preserved its purchasing power since 1964. It's got the same purchasing power today that it did in 1964. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave it at that because I don't want this video to turn too long. So just remember to be good to each other. Remember to reach one, teach one. You know what? I messed up. I'm going to start that over again. Remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place. And you know that it will be a better place. Many blessings to all of you and your families. This is Alaska Prepper, and I'm out.